growing up, I was a bit of a tomboy and also on the spectrum. And I didn't know this until I was diagnosed just last year, but it did play a role in my socialization and my difficulty getting along with other girls growing up. And I found that I fit in more with the boys. And when I hit puberty, it was a bit earlier than most of my peers, and I got taller than them. And
Oh, yeah.
I could keep up with the boys then, and I had a lot of pride in that. But as the years went on, they started to get taller than me and outmatched me physically, and this did bring on a bit of distress for me. And as I got older, socialization began to become more sex-oriented, and I found it even harder to fit in with girls my age. But at the same time, I was also starting to notice there was a divide between me and boys in several ways. And there was a lot of loneliness for me, because on one hand, I didn't really feel like I was one of the girls, but on the other hand, I was losing my connection with some of my friends who I was close with and really, really cared about. And I also had some body image issues growing up as well. I often talk about how social media played a role in it, but really it started from a very young age, actually. I mean, I was born into a very image-oriented, very sex-oriented society. And, before I hit puberty, I was looking forward to having a developed body and eventually growing breasts. And, once I hit puberty, it wasn't what I expected, and I was really quite disappointed in how I looked. I was very, very skinny. I was on the smaller chested side. And, I grew up in an age where we kind of glorify bodies that are very, very voluptuous, lots of curves. People often use the phrase like bottom heavy or hourglass, pear shaped, things like that. And I didn't look like that at all. I was quite thin, a little on the muscular side. And if anything, my shoulders were probably the widest point in my body. And I kind of had a complex over this. I also liked having my hair short, and because of all this, I felt like if anything, I didn't really look like a girl at all. I didn't look like the other girls my age, and I felt like I just wasn't pretty, and that I would never really have any worth as a woman.
It's a very rare adolescent, and probably a particularly rare female adolescent who feels attractive in the early stages of puberty. So everything that you experienced, although you may have experienced it, in an exaggerated manner for some of the reasons you laid out, but everything you experienced is in some real sense par for the course for a few years for the vast majority of people. Now, you did add one additional issue, which we could delve into a little bit, which I think is relevant. So you said that you're on the spectrum and that you had an easier time communicating with boys than with girls. And so here's something to know about that. So the biggest reliable difference that's been documented between males and females, and this becomes even larger in egalitarian societies, by the way, is orientation of interest. So women are higher in negative emotion and they're more agreeable, and agreeableness is both compassion and politeness. And although the difference between men and women isn't massive, it's significant, and it also maximizes in egalitarian society. So it looks like it's biological. But the biggest difference is in interest. And boys, males, are more reliably interested in things, and girls, females, are more reliably interested in people. But people on the autistic spectrum are also more reliably interested in things.